Okay, this is another video we had to do a voiceover on because we forgot to turn our microphone on. So 04, I believe is 04, Trailblazer. Interesting to note on this one is that once you see the face again, you see how the bezel that surrounds the gauges is melted. It's weird. I don't know how I got that way without melting some other components, but it's all melted up. So we're just doing the tear down. All the little tabs along the outside of the cluster on the back. Allow the back to separate off the cluster so that you get to the back of the board. Apparently this was done before by somebody else. If that was you, then maybe let me know how this thing got melted. It's all strange. That's supposed to be a symmetrical right there. Supposed to be a nice round arc, and it's all melted and drooping in, as well as the one over the old pressure gauge. But there's no other signs of any heat damage to that lens, so I'm not sure how that it was even accomplished. Not sure how I would try to duplicate that. Gauges all feel good, freely move. We're going to get it over on the other bench and power it up and see what we got. So now we're on the other bench, checking things out. Not sure what I was talking to y'all about right here. Power up the board. Everything powers up nice. Looks like we had one dead bulb. Start looking at the back of the board, and we got all kinds of growth on the back of the board. This is called, I'll try to pronounce it, Dendritic Growth. And I didn't know a lot about it before I looked it up, but I just knew it was a growth that occurred on the back of the board on a lot of the GMs that we do, and it causes little micro shorts, and things don't work so well. The definition of it is dendritic growth is a rare short circuit electrochemical phenomenon that can occur on printed circuit boards in the presence of ionic contamination and high humidity and voltage bias. So yeah, weird stuff that happens I guess that's why. Anyhow, to clean it up, basically what we do is identify all the places on the board. This one had a bunch. And I shoot a little flux on there. I use Amtech flux. I like that stuff. It's easier to clean up. And this takes me quite a bit. My eyes are bad, so identifying all the little spots that we have growth is a bit of an issue when you Got 55-year-old eyes. So the process of doing that's put the flux on there, and then you get your iron like I'm doing here and just work it around on top of that growth. That growth will kind of melt away and start to disappear, and just make sure all of your area there is clean and free of that growth. I had a little sharp tip on there, so we're switching to a bigger tip. Bigger tip gives you a little more surface area and a little more heat, so you can go a little quicker. It's a pretty easy process. Some people use dry erasers, not dry erasers, magic erasers, to clean off the back of the board. I've used them before and just never got that good of results with it, so I switched to this method. I think this method's easier other than the cleanup. Some people use a wire brush. This is the least invasive way to clean this stuff, and easiest on your board. It's not going to cause a problem to do it this way. You're not going to accidentally brush things too hard and screw a trace up or anything like that with this method. So on these clusters and the other GM clusters, the truck series clusters, you'll get this growth and you have strange issues occur, like language scrolling. You can hold down the trip reset button on most of the 03 to 06 GMs and select different languages from English to French to Spanish to Portuguese or German, whatever you want. And that growth will occur and cause a short, and it'll just continue to scroll and won't quit scrolling. So we get the growth off and it'll stop that. There's a certain area on the boards that you get growth that will short out the EEPROM, which is the memory, so your odometer will error. You get all kinds of crazy things happening with the board because you have electrical connections where you're not supposed to. And cleaning all that up straightens a lot of stuff out. You get a parasitic draw at times where your cluster won't go to sleep, and when you shut your car off at night, the battery will continue to drain at a slow rate, and you come out in the morning and the car won't start. This takes care of that as well. So when you get done with this stuff, with getting all of your growth off the board, you want to get that flux off as well. The flux is, it's a little bit of a problem because it'll leak through your circuitry to some degree as well. So plus it's just ugly looking if you leave it on there. It gets all dried and cakey and not very professional. So take your toothbrush, put your 99% alcohol, take your toothbrush, go over the board. Use 99% alcohol because it's 99% alcohol. Rubbing alcohol at 80% has 20% water. Water has elements in it that are not good for electronics. cause problems and corrosion later. Initially with the toothbrush there, I'm just basically diluting the flux into the alcohol. It makes it easier to wipe off, and you take you a paper towel or something to wipe it off with, and you're good to go. Takes a minute to clean it up, and then it doesn't have to be shiny pretty, it just has to be dry when you're done and clear of any contaminants. Most of the time on these GM clusters we do full rebuilds, which consists of new stepper motors and new lighting and new, we go back in and go over all the power supply resistors and etc. within the cluster. This belonged to a car dealer. He's trying to save a little bit of money, so we're not going to go full bore with him because he's a friend of mine. He understands the deal. So we're just going to clean up the growth and take care of the problem that it's having today. I think there was a light bulb on the front. We'll replace that for him. Other than that, should be pretty good to go. Using way too big of an iron to put that light bulb on, but I was just too lazy to change out my tip. I think I was describing how big of a cluster my old cable was for powering these clusters up. I used to use it when I was mobile, and it had 3 heads on it because one was for 0306 GMs and another one was for 99 to 02, and then the other one was for the Trailblazers. I've been too lazy to make an independent Trailblazer plug, so I had to get my old plug out, and it's nasty looking, but it works. Here we're just finishing up. I had my coworker went out and found us a new lens that doesn't have the warped bezels around the gauges. It's not a new lens, but a repurposed lens, I guess, because we're into that green stuff, repurposing and not filling our landfills up. So putting it all back together, cleaning it a little bit, and showing you the comparison. That's what the one on the right is all warped, and that one's not. And we're in South Texas, and it's hot, but I don't know how the hell that was warped like that. It's a whole nother level of hot that caused that. I generally set my needles with the power on like that. Just turn the power on, let them settle, and then put my needles on in the 0 position, with the exception of the fuel gauge, and I'm just a hair to the, well, hard to explain, but the gas gauge is just a little bit below. Not so much that you can see the needle go past the orange, but just on the other side of the orange, just a little bit. They look pretty off right there, but when you're looking at it dead on, it's on. It's because of the camera angle. Clean up the repurposed lens. Got a couple little scratches on it, but a lot better than what I had. One last power check, and we're good to go.